right now?
The virus dies the quickest in the presence of direct sunlight. The virus dies the quickest in the presence of direct sunlight under these conditions. And we're able to measure the decay of that virus while it's suspended in the air. This is how we do our aerosol testing. We work with Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab, and we actually developed a larger drum to do actually more testing, and it's 4 times the size of that. So this is the capability that we bring to this effort. So in summary, within the conditions we've tested to date, the virus in droplets of saliva survives best in indoors and dry conditions. The virus does not survive as well in droplets of saliva, and that's important because a lot of testing being done is not necessarily being done, number one, with the COVID-19 virus, and number two, in saliva or respiratory fluids. And thirdly, the virus dies the quickest in the presence of direct sunlight under these conditions. And when you look at that chart, look at the aerosol as you breathe it. You put it in a room, 70 to 75 degrees, 20%.
This is William Bryan, the senior DHS official for science and technology, and he's giving us the stunning revelation that sunlight might be really good for us now, and being indoors might actually not be that good when it comes to containing or slowing the spread of the virus.
The virus in droplets of saliva survives best in indoors and dry conditions. The virus dies the quickest in the presence of direct sunlight.
To people with common sense and critical thinking skills, this is nothing surprising, but to people who believe everything they hear from television news anchors, this might be really bad or shocking. Who knows what they're saying? They're like, Donald Trump said that sunlight will kill coronavirus. It's like, Trump didn't say that. They did a study based on the virus or the disease in saliva and came to that conclusion. This corroborates the report from Yahoo News that I talked about a few days ago, and a lot of people don't want to hear it. We must be a slave in our house and stay inside for months at a time and not go out in the sun. Was never science. Of course, you're allowed to study stuff like sunlight, but the gatekeepers are furious. Speaking of the sun, that really hot thing that heats up the planet and allows us to even survive in the first place, in 2018, Harvard scientists begin experiment to block out the sun. Can we not? A group of Harvard scientists plan to tackle climate change through geoengineering by blocking the sun. The concept of artificially reflecting sunlight has been around for decades, yet this will be the first real attempt at controlling Earth's temperature through solar engineering. Blocking out the sunlight has been controversial in the scientific community for decades. The controversy lies in the ability to fully understand the consequences of partially blocking out sunlight. Yeah, you don't say. Here's the best part. With funding in part by Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates, of course, the Harvard team will begin to answer the remaining questions as early as the spring of 2019. So the geniuses at Harvard are blocking out the sun. Past cultures prayed to the sun and appreciated the sun, but now a lot of these God-complex pseudo-intellectuals want to block out the sun because they know better. How could that possibly go wrong? Well, for starters, the sun heats up our planet, allows us to survive, gives us vitamins, is healthy for us, and according to the DHS Science and Technology research, it might actually eliminate COVID-19 a lot faster than sitting indoors. I don't know, so maybe closing down beaches isn't a good idea. Telling people they can't go to the park, maybe we should reconsider that, or at least be able to question it without getting deleted or being, oh my God, how dare you question being inside for 5 months and going out in the sun? That's not science. That's like brainwashed tyranny, that now we actually have real data, real evidence, and real scientific studies to counter those claims. Dr. Birx seemed less than thrilled about this, and in a recent television interview, she went to say the federal government, and by mistake it seems like she almost said the Gates Foundation.
Do we have enough infrastructure to contact trace the way that we need to?
I think that's why the criteria that you can see the gates that are that the federal government has recommended are.
Do we have enough infrastructure to contact trace the way that we need to?
I think that's why the criteria that you can see the gates that are that the federal government has recommended are.
Whoops. We know what you mean, though. Dr. Fauci, the other expert that's guiding Trump's policy right now, is on the Global Health Leaders of Vaccine Collaboration Leadership Council with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So as one scientific study is telling us that sunlight is actually really good when it comes to slowing the spread of the virus, and the virus or disease potentially spreads more indoor than it does outdoors, the other side that's driving our health and economic policy right now wants to literally block out the sun, has his sights on controlling the weather, and geoengineering hurricanes, that's a fact, has one of the two main health experts on the vaccine council. The other one can't even not say his name when they're talking about the federal government.
You can see the gates that that the federal government
Is funding factories to produce 7 COVID-19 vaccines. Is also funding research into if hydroxychloroquine works, with vitamin C as a placebo, and apparently thinks that we're never going to go back to normal until basically the entire world gets the vaccine.
Advance the vaccine. It is fair to say things won't go back to truly normal until we have a vaccine that we've gotten out to basically the entire world. And so, the best people at the foundation who are all about high volume vaccines, are working with many manufacturers.
Holy conflict of interest and God complex, Batman. This guy has his hands in everything. And it's obvious that the media really doesn't even want to consider that sunlight might be good for us and being indoors might be bad for us. On one token, they're telling us you can't question the economic collapse and the American societal. You can't question it at all because you don't care about health. And on the other hand, they tell us hundreds of millions of people are going to starve to death if we don't figure this out. I'm sorry, but a lot of these media people are delusional and dishonest at best, psychopaths at worst. Thank you to Trump for putting him on stage, and thank you to Bill Bryan for giving us your research.
Obviously, at the moment, the advice is stay at home. By the summer, could we be flipping that and saying you'd be much better off being outside with UV rays, all the humidity that Washington brings in August?
I would not go contrary to the guidance that have been issued right now. I think, though, to tell you that if I'm having an event with my family, I'm doing it in the driveway or in the backyard, not inside the house with my children.
In fact, I'm thinking about moving outside to the rose garden.
Sounds like what a lot of other scientists are saying that are getting buried by the media and the health industry swamp gatekeepers or whatever you want to call them. And I'm confused at this, we can't go back to normal until everybody gets a vaccine. I'm not an anti-vaxxer and I totally understand the science behind vaccines. But science tells us that the influenza vaccine has been around since 1942. In 2018, 80,000 people died from the winter flu, and we've had some of the worst flu seasons in decades recently, so there's no correlation between having the vaccine and eradicating the disease. That's a fact, that's science. So what type of phony science is Trump and Bill Gates and these others trying to push that we can't go back to normal until they get the vaccine out there, as they're blocking the sun, funding those Washington Institute models, which have been wrong time and time again? The death rates are massively lower, we know now, because of antibody tests and basic common sense. Understanding an asymptomatic virus means that a lot of people don't even know they have it. When does this madness end? Wake up, Donald Trump, because the American people are awake, and we're tired of these God-complex tyrants destroying the economy, destroying our entire way of life, telling us we can't talk out about it, telling us that suggesting that sunlight and exercise is good and being indoors is bad is somehow dangerous, terrible things to say, and then on the other hand telling us hundreds of millions of people are going to die from the policy that they're mainly pushing in their own media sources is getting out of control. The theory of flattening the curve so we don't overwhelm hospitals, have we not only massively overcompensated for, actually also overwhelmed the hospitals in the process by shutting down all elective surgeries? And it's time to stop moving the goalposts. It's time to stop smearing any scientists, doctors, or studies that go against the agenda of what they clearly want to do, which is give a product to everybody on the entire planet, which there's no science, data, or even human testing yet to prove that it's one, going to be effective and work, that it's two, going to eradicate the disease. And all evidence, when you look at others, like the influenza vaccine, which has been here for 70 years, nothing about it proves that is somehow going to correlate to the eradication or the complete slowing of the spread. It's getting ridiculous. We get it. So I would like to see the President of the United States start getting it. God bless you guys. Have a good week, and I'll be back with more videos.